Part 33. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 325. Wang Shuo had to marvel at the sturdiness of this human ladder. A closer look revealed that the bones of the monsters on the human ladder were actually stuck together, interlocking to form a stable flat rope shape. Wang Shuo immediately jumped and chopped. But he did not cut off the claws of the skeleton monster on the top of the human ladder. Suddenly, the skeleton monster stretched out more claws, tightly grasped the battlements, and even stretched out some bone spurs, directly piercing into the city wall. Wang Shuo was shocked. He looked up. In the distance, countless undead warriors had stepped on the human ladder and rushed over. Moreover, there were as many as 8 human ladders like this at the east gate alone. In the sky, there were also huge dragon-shaped undead, with undead warriors crawling on their 2 bone claws. When flying over Shanghai City, the undead dragon swooped down, and the undead warriors jumped down one after another and began to attack the surrounding human soldiers. Not only that, the stone-throwing monsters before no longer threw stones, but directly threw undead warriors. Lost the protection of the shield. The number of undead warriors on the city wall and in Shanghai City increased rapidly. The speed of the undead's attack was so fast that it was hard to keep up. Reinforcement, reinforcement, I need reinforcement here. Some lords who couldn't hold on shouted loudly. Fortunately, these lords who reinforced Shanghai City had already exchanged the dead spirit talisman last night, otherwise the situation would be out of control at this time. Wang Shuo divided the generals into 2 teams, and along the 2 ends of the city wall, they continued to help the lords who couldn't hold on and kill the undead warriors. Bang! Suddenly, there was a loud noise. Wang Shuo couldn't help shaking his gun hand. He didn't need to look to know that the explosion was caused by the giant impact hitting the broken dragon stone. Wang Shuo couldn't help looking back, took a look, and his heart was immediately chilled. The gate tower of the entire city was blown down. The main attack direction of the undead this time was the east gate. Zhao Bang stood at the gate of the east gate, looking at General Arifubal from a distance. Zhao Bang was quite calm, without any panic, and even smiled at the enemy commander. Wang Shuo also saw Zhao Bang's expression. His face was very anxious, and his heart was in a panic. The undead had attacked the city wall and entered the city. This is really urgent. You are still pretending. After taking a deep breath, Wang Shuo couldn't help but wonder, does Zhao Bang have a trump card? Yes, there should be, otherwise, it's time to pack up and run away. Wang Shuo kicked a skeleton away and looked at the enemy boss again. There were 10 generals around him, on his left and right sides. Wang Shuo was so excited that he almost cried. Is it so exciting? The enemy's ultimate combat power has not moved yet, and the defense of Shanghai City is about to collapse. The main force of the Burning Legion has the same combat power as the Black Armor Army. The Red Flame Army needs 3 to 5 people to defeat 1 person. At present, the undead skeletons that rushed up the city wall and entered the city can barely be dealt with. The general's team quickly gathered near several ladders to prevent the skeleton warriors from climbing the city. As for those who were thrown up and airlifted in, there was no way. Even the bronze crossbow carts had poor anti-air effects, and the number of undead warriors continued to increase. Wang Shuo's general's team was assigned to defend 4 ladders. Wang Shuo assigned the manpower and came to the one closest to the city wall. A gun shot an undead warrior off the city wall, and Gong Zheng jumped up and held up his shield to resist the enemy. The width of the ladder was only 8 decimeters. Gong Zheng could defend it alone. Wang Shuo thought that the city wall without the protection of the formation could be blown up. He directly took out 20 thunder bombs. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 326. Gong Zheng, withdraw. Just after Gong Zheng jumped down from the battlement, Wang Shuo quickly threw the thunder bomb. Boom! The explosion sounded, and a part of the city wall was blown up. There were less than 2 tentacles left on the ladder, which were shaky. Wang Shuo threw another 5 bombs, and after an explosion, the ladder finally fell off the city wall. With a long breath, he hurried to the next place and blew it up in the same way. 25 thunder bombs, the explosion power was just right, which could not only blow up the ladder, but also protect the city wall to the greatest extent. Soon, the ladder that Wang Shuo was responsible for defending was broken. Sauron on the city wall saw this and cast an admiring look. Zhao Bang stood on the city gate tower and nodded. At this moment, the war drums of the undead sounded again. What's going to happen again? All the undead rushed forward. The whole army attacked. Even 8 of the 10 generals have been dispatched. But General Arifubal did not move. I don't know whether he felt that he had already won the battle or was afraid of something. The undead on the ladder started to jump from a distance, and it was impossible to defend against it. The only way was to cut off the ladder. Seeing this, Suo Yang came to the side of a ladder without hesitation. He took out a narrow long knife, held it tightly with both hands, raised it above his head, and a fierceness appeared on his scarred face. Open! The long knife slashed on the ladder, cutting off 4 or 5 tentacles with one stroke. Sauron frowned. He used 70% of his strength in this knife, but only cut off half of it. He didn't have time to think about it, and he cut it again with another knife, destroying the ladder. But at this time, the number of undead warriors rushing up the wall was almost 1/3 of the number of defenders on the wall. The situation was already very critical. At this time, undead warriors were climbing the city gates everywhere, and 3 warriors came up from each of the east and west gates. Some warriors threw a rope in their hands, and their bodies flew into the air with just this little pulling force. Ordinary arrows were blocked by an invisible aura on their bodies and could not hurt them at all. Zhao Bang glanced at the west gate, frowned, stepped on the roof and ran quickly. "Boss, do you think you are running away from the battlefield?" Wang Shuo widened his eyes and wondered. Seeing that Sauron was still defending the city gate and the defenders of Shanghai City had not collapsed, he believed that Zhao Bang did not run away. Wang Shuo did not know the situation of the west gate. He only knew that 2 warriors had confronted Sauron and 1 was slaughtering soldiers. "Wang Shuo, come over to support and stop that warrior." Suo Yang gave Wang Shuo an order. Wang Shuo took a closer look and took a breath of cold air. Ordinary soldiers, that skeleton warrior, could kill a kid with 1 sword, and the soldiers of Shanghai City could also kick him away with 1 kick. The enemy is very strong. But the situation is critical at this time, and Wang Shuo has to bite the bullet. "Gather the generals, follow me to kill." 15 high-level generals quickly gathered and came to the East Gate Tower to surround the general. Thunder Skeleton King, Primary General. Level 59. Attack power, 3000. Defense power, 1800. Health value, 32,000. Skills, Thunder, Red Thunder / Thunderous. When Wang Shuo saw this attack power, his breathing was a little unsmooth. This can kill people in seconds. No wonder those ordinary soldiers just now were killed with 1 sword. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 327. At the moment, only Gong Zheng can barely block a few swords. During this period of time, Wang Shuo also accumulated a lot of water of life. He gave 3 drops to each of his favorite generals, which was equivalent to 3 extra lives. Gong Zheng, enter. Wang Shuo, Ayub, and others also rushed forward. Another group of people are here to die. GGGG. The Thunder Skeleton King has no clothes on his body, and is dressed in a dry skeleton, as crystal clear as jade. If he had facial expressions, at this time, he should stick out his tongue, lick the corners of his mouth, and then show a wicked smile, but unfortunately he has no face and no tongue. Hearing the horse's strange laughter, Wang Shuo felt creepy. The Weeping Blood Spear was blocked by the Thunder Saber, and the huge force directly knocked Wang Shuo back several steps. The gap in strength is so huge. Wang Shuo was shocked. After Wang Shuo was repulsed, Gong Zheng immediately raised his shield on top. He did not dare to be careless. The petrified skin instantly covered his whole body, and his body suddenly rose to 3 meters high. Even so, the Thunder Skeleton King was only 1 arm shorter than him. The Thunder Skeleton King struck Gong Zheng's petrified skin, leaving a gash 3 centimeters deep. Wang Shuo was shocked. This was the first time that someone could leave obvious wounds on Gong Zheng's body. Gong Zheng also cried out in pain. He immediately blocked the shield in front of him, not daring to use his petrified skin to withstand the Thunder Skeleton King's attack. Use your ultimate move. With a loud shout, Wang Shuo immediately used his control skills. Good also immediately used his control skills. Before amplifying the move, use control skills. This is standard. If you go short, you will suffer a big loss. Bound with iron ropes, tangled with roots. In order to be sure, the two of them released their control skills at the same time. After all, the other party was a warrior, 2 levels higher. The two skills trapped Thunder Skeleton King for 1 second. Now. A blow that turns into a dragon. Lightning Dragon Strike. Double arrows of ice and fire. 3 hits. Ice Jew Slash. All the generals released their ultimate moves. There is no way, the defense is as high as 1800 points, it is not an ultimate move, it cannot be hit at all. The ultimate moves launched by 15 high-level generals are very effective. -1200. -1500. -200. -780. A series of numbers appeared from the head of the Thunder Skeleton King. Ah, ah! He roared angrily, and black death energy surged around him, with countless purple thunders shining on the bones of his body. Very well, you ants succeeded in irritating me. Thunder! I saw him inserting the thunder sword on the ground, bending his elbows slightly, making fists with his hands, and a burst of momentum exploded. Thunder overflowed all around, breaking free from the restraints, and at the same time shaking the surrounding senior generals away more than 10 meters. Some of the generals who were nearby were shocked so hard that their mouths were filled with blood, and their health points dropped by thousands. Wang Shuo also felt uncomfortable. He was knocked directly to the wall of the city gate tower, and his mouth felt sweet. He held back the blood rising in his mouth, calmed down for a moment, and then swallowed it back. Jaja, are you the only ones with skills? Try mine. After saying that, the thunder sword on the ground shook slightly, and then flew back to his hand, and the thunder on his body gathered on the long sword. Red Thunder Slash. The target of the attack was clearly Ayub. Among the generals present, Ayub seemed to be the most powerful in terms of image. Ayub has a tall figure and a stern face. He holds a green dragon sword and is powerful and domineering. Compared to Wang Shuo and Ye Tianba, he attracts more hatred. As for Gong Zheng, he was directly ignored because he only had defense and his attack power was almost negligible. His attacks could not break the Thunder Skeleton King's defense at all. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 328. A red lightning bolt flew out along the long sword and hit Ayub directly. Wang Shuo's face darkened, and he became nervous, his heart in his throat. Ayub had no time to defend and dodge. Ayub, who was hit by the lightning, was flashing with arcs all over his body. He should have been seriously injured, but at this time, he was miraculously standing. He closed his eyes, and the lightning on his body slowly disappeared, as if it was slowly absorbed. After a while, it disappeared without a trace. Huh! The Thunder Skeleton King was surprised. He also stopped attacking at this time, looking at the changes in Ayub's body, and became a little curious. Not long after, Ayub's body was covered with lightning again, but it was purple. The purple lightning gradually covered his whole body, and then slowly turned red. The same color as the lightning shot by the Thunder Skeleton King. Then, Ayub suddenly opened his eyes, with murderous intent in his eyes. Wang Shuo was surprised. Did he break through again? It was the same last time. After being seriously injured, he realized the lightning rising dragon strike. Could it be that this time, with the help of the red thunder, he broke through again? Ayub held the Qing longsword in his hand and waved it in front of him. His momentum suddenly increased, and he shouted, "I am the god of war, Ayub, die for me." As soon as the voice fell, he jumped into the air and slashed with the sword. The Qing longsword was wrapped in red lightning, exactly the same as the Thunder Skeleton King just now. This sword carried the power of wind and thunder, as if it had the power to split the sky and the earth. The Thunder Skeleton King did not dare to be arrogant. He held the sword in one hand and grabbed the tip of the sword with the other hand, raising the sword above his head to resist this thunder-like blow. Keng! Sparks flew, metal and iron rang, and lightning flashed. The Thunder Skeleton King was actually knocked down to the city by a blow. This. Can you believe it? Wang Shuo rubbed his eyes, his face full of shock and disbelief. The other generals around were also stunned, their jaws dropped in surprise. Wang Shuo quickly checked Ayub's information. Under the stimulation of thunder and lightning, he actually broke through the 5th level of Thunder Spear technique and also comprehended a skill, breaking the sky. Not only that, what subverted Wang Shuo's cognition was that he actually broke through the bottleneck of high-level generals and entered the ranks of top generals. This change directly subverted Wang Shuo's cognition. In his understanding, generals can only use general transfer orders to upgrade their levels. But Ayub's breakthrough made Wang Shuo confused. Could it be that breaking through the limit by himself is the correct way to open it? Without time to think about it, Wang Shuo retracted his thoughts. Because at this time, the Thunder Skeleton King climbed up again. Hee. Human, you are very good. You are qualified to fight me. Wang Shuo wanted to curse in his heart. You are a general, and Ayub's attack was obviously the strongest, you just blocked it casually. Isn't this qualification too hasty? The Thunder Skeleton King jumped down from the battlement and rushed towards Ayub. With the long knife in his hand, he took Ayub's head. Everyone, come together. Wang Shuo's words awakened everyone. This is an extremely powerful boss. Compared with the alien beasts, the health value of humanoid creatures of the same level may not be higher, but the combat power is really strong. Obviously, the bones of this Thunder Skeleton King are very tough, and the health value is not inferior to the alien beast generals of the same level. It can be said that there is no weakness. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 329. Wana Town's generals took the lead in launching the attack, followed by Lin Dabiao. This fierce senior general was not afraid at all and went straight up. But the difference in strength was still quite large. He was kicked away by the Thunder Skeleton King and fell 11 meters away. Wang Shuo couldn't help but admire this strong man in his heart. He was a big man, but he was really brave. He watched his health drop by 4/5. After being repelled by the Thunder Skeleton King, Wang Shuo came directly to him and gave him a drop of water of life. Turning around, Wang Shuo rushed up again. At the same time, near the east gate, Sauron fought a spider-shaped general alone. His 6 top generals dealt with another ape-like general. If you stand on the top of the gate tower and overlook the entire battlefield, there are undead fighting humans everywhere. Near the west gate, Zhao Bang's opponent is also a human-shaped skeleton general. He punched the skeleton warrior and sent him flying. One of the sternums on the skeleton warrior's chest was broken, and 3 more were cracked. The skeleton warrior roared, and another alien skeleton next to him joined the battle against Zhao Bang. Zhao Bang fought 1 against 2, and he was also at ease, not at all at a disadvantage. At the same time, he still had the energy to check the battles in other places and take a general view. Although the general was delayed, the top-level skeletons started to slaughter the human soldiers. The human soldiers were no match at all. If it weren't for the army of Shanghai City, which resisted most of the undead warriors, I'm afraid the battle would have become one-sided. Just when the battle was confusing, a team of undead warriors, about 50 people, appeared at the East City Gate. They rushed straight to the city gate. At this time, the soldiers guarding the city had no way to stop them. Every high-end combat force has already found an opponent, but this group of undead warriors have a clear goal and will never fight. Finally, they killed to the bottom of the city gate. Pulled the bolt of the city gate. A small commander of Shanghai City saw this scene, his eyes widened, his face full of despair. The city gate is open. He exhausted his last strength and shouted. Then, he was stabbed in the chest by the skeleton warrior. He slowly fell to the ground, his eyes still wide open. Died with eyes open. A large number of skeleton warriors rushed into Shanghai City from the city wall. The city was broken. Shanghai City was broken. Hearing the shouts, some lords who came to support quietly killed in the direction of the teleportation array. But the teleportation array is the top priority at this time, and Shanghai City has sent heavy troops to guard it. Anyone who dares to approach will be killed without mercy. Wang Shuo was also unsure at this time. Is it really going to be defeated? No matter what, first kill the Thunder Skeleton King in front of you. With the combined efforts of everyone, after several generals replenished the water of life once or twice, the Thunder Skeleton King's health finally dropped below half. This gave Wang Shuo great confidence. Everyone work harder, we can defeat him. Wang Shuo just finished speaking. The Thunder Skeleton King snorted coldly and said contemptuously, "Just you. Thunderbolt." He roared again in a hoarse voice. Wang Shuo was shocked when he heard it. Everyone be careful, the boss is going to use a big move. I saw the Thunder Skeleton King, his whole body was shining with lightning, and the dazzling lightning light quickly expanded, and then shrank into a thunder ball again, condensing in his hands. He held the thunder ball with both hands and was about to throw it at everyone. Wang Shuo's breathing was rapid, and his pupils shrank sharply. This is definitely a taboo big move. Wang Shuo immediately handed the only resurrection coin to Gong Zheng at the fastest speed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 330. Gong Zheng, hold him and jump down. Wang Shuo yelled hysterically. If they were hit by this thunder, everyone present would probably be in danger. Gong Zheng has more than 30,000 HP, and also has the life feedback and damage rebound skills of Vajra Sutra. When the skill is activated, it can rebound 80% of the damage, maybe he can withstand this attack. In order to be on the safe side, Wang Shuo also gave his most precious resurrection coin to Gong Zheng. Gong Zheng also lived up to everyone's expectations and used a move of Taishan pressure. This skill can be said to be a magical skill, which can directly get close to the body and also comes with stun. Even if it is against the boss, it will take at least 0.5 seconds. Coming in front of the Thunder Skeleton King, Gong Zheng directly locked the Skeleton King with his thick petrified arms to prevent him from breaking free after waking up. Wang Shuo had to be thankful that this kind of forbidden spell level big move took a long time to activate, otherwise, there would be no time to react. Gong Zheng and Thunder Skeleton King fell directly from the city wall. The 30-meter high city wall was not fatal to the two of them, but the thunder ball between them. It had the destructive power to destroy the world. Bang! A huge explosion sounded. Like a thunderclap, it shocked countless undead and human soldiers in the entire East Gate. The human soldiers even lost their hearing for a short time. The East Gate was blown down in half. The city gate passage below was buried directly. If the city wall had not lost the protection of the formation, this attack would probably not have been so powerful. But at this time, the durability of the city wall had been exhausted, and it was only a little stronger than an ordinary city wall. The explosion directly blew away the undead warriors near the city gate and in the city wall. The huge air wave hit the city wall of the city wall and rushed into the air. Wang Shuo only saw countless ashes and some broken bones being blown up. He was a little panicked. What if the resurrection coin didn't work, then Gong Zheng would be dead. After all, this explosion was much more powerful than the one when he blew up Toad Brunei. Gong Zheng. Wang Shuo was a little panicked, shouted loudly, and immediately staggered to the edge of the broken city wall and looked down. The scene below shocked Wang Shuo. I saw a huge golden bell covering Gong Zheng. Wang Shuo? Lord, I'm fine. I just broke through. He smiled and stood up, but a trace of blood still flowed from the corner of his mouth. Wang Shuo looked at it and found that his blood volume was less than 200 points. Wang Shuo showed a smile at the corner of his mouth, turned his head, and blew a breath from the slanted corner of his mouth. And the tears in his eyes were rolling in his eye sockets. He sniffed, coughed, and cleared his choked throat. Between life and death, there is great terror, but also great opportunity. Seeing that Gong Zheng also broke through the limit when he was on the verge of death, Wang Shuo couldn't help but have a new idea. But this is too risky. He shook his head and suddenly noticed that the skeletons outside the city rushed in again. Abu, catch up. Wang Shuo immediately threw a rope to Ayub, and he descended rapidly. The skeleton warriors in the distance rushed over quickly, and Gong Zheng was about to be surrounded. After Wang Shuo landed on Gong Zheng's head, he immediately stretched out a hand. Gong Zheng also stretched out a hand, and Ayub and Yetianba and others on the city wall quickly pulled the two up. After returning to the city wall, Wang Shuo breathed a sigh of relief. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 331. Lord, this is for you. Gong Zheng released his transformation, took the water of life, and returned the resurrection coin in his hand to Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo took a look and put the resurrection coin away. Compared to Gong Zheng, he seemed to be more likely to die and lacked means to save his life. At this time, under the city wall, the skeleton warriors surged up again. The city wall was blown up into a staircase, and the skeleton warriors could already climb up along the collapsed city wall. Fortunately, the number of skeleton warriors was reduced by more than half compared to before. This explosion alone killed thousands of them. Wang Shuo looked around at everyone and said in a deep voice, "Hurry up, replenish your status and prepare for battle." Seeing that Zaran was still fighting hard, Wang Shuo immediately rushed forward with his core generals to help. With the two top generals Ayub and Gong Zheng, the top combat power of the East Gate has changed. Especially the fall of the Thunder Skeleton King, which led to a reversal of the situation. Soon, the other two undead warriors at the East Gate were killed by everyone. This time, Wang Shuo was quick and grabbed a trophy. It was a token. Wang Shuo had not had time to take a closer look when something strange happened. After seeing that most of the undead warriors had entered Shanghai City, Zhao Bang shouted, "Launch the undead soul-destroying formation." As soon as he finished speaking, in the city lord's mansion, hundreds of people wearing sacrificial robes sat cross-legged in a certain direction. In the middle of the priests, there was a small tower made of soul crystals. It was really too luxurious. They kept muttering spells and turning magic tools in their hands. In an instant, white streams of light spread from the central tower along the ground. After a few breaths, the entire Shanghai city, with the city wall as the boundary, rose with countless purifying lights. Within the envelopment of the formation, the dead air in the bodies of the undead was constantly extracted from their bodies and purified. The army of undead fell into collective wailing. Wang Shuo was shocked to see this change. Sure enough, Zhao Bangde had a backup plan. Ordinary undead were directly purified into a pile of bones by the purifying light all over the city. The elite undead warriors resisted for a longer time. But their strength was constantly weakened under the purification. Just when Wang Shuo thought everything was settled, the purifying light disappeared all of a sudden. It feels like being out of pants, the police are here, and the thief is uncomfortable. It turned out that the hundreds of priests in the Lord's mansion had fainted. The consumption of this formation was too great, and they could not maintain it for too long. Wang Shuo finally figured it out. Before, Zhao Bangde should have wanted to bring more undead into the city so that he could catch them all in one fell swoop. Although there were still about 1/5 of the undead warriors who had not entered Shanghai city, the human soldiers were almost unable to hold on, so he had to activate this formation. Affected by this, the number of undead in Shanghai city was reduced by half in just a few breaths. The remaining ones, although they were all elites of the Burning Legion, had at least reduced their strength by nearly half. For a time, the morale of the human race was greatly shaken. The undead were killed and retreated step by step. General Arifubal, looking at this situation, hesitated in his heart. At this time, should he rush in? What if the cunning Zhao Bangde still had a backhand to deal with him specifically? This desperate rush forward, wouldn't it be a trap? But if he didn't push all the remaining troops forward and lead the charge into the city? This battle, I'm afraid he will lose. He was a little embarrassed. At this time, Zhao Bangde came to the East Gate Tower again, looking at Arifubal from a distance, with a faint smile on his lips. Wang Shuo noticed Zhao Bangde's expression again. There were doubts in my heart. I didn't expect that Zhao Bangde was really a fool. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 332. At the same time, Wang Shuo was also wondering, did Zhao Bangde have any trump card? Wang Shuo felt that Bangde Zhao was bluffing at this time. Arifubal also felt the same as Wang Shuo, but he didn't dare to bet. If Bangde Zhao still had a trump card, then there would be no return for him. Wang Shuo couldn't figure it out, so he simply ignored it and concentrated on killing the undead around him. The undead whose strength has been weakened can even be challenged by Wang Shuo against a high-level general. This exhilarating fighting experience made Wang Shuo feel like he was on a high. The small universe exploded. He only needed 1 or 2 sets of combo attacks to kill an undead skeleton at the level of a senior general. Woohoo, take off. Not only Wang Shuo felt this way, all the human soldiers felt that they had become stronger. Of course, this is their illusion, it's just that the enemy has become weaker. Arifubal hesitated again and again, but still did not make up his mind to enter Shanghai city. Withdraw troops. Arifubal gave an order, and the undead receded like a tide. The Burning Legion now has 1 intermediate general, 2 junior generals, and less than 50,000 undead elite warriors left. Of course, Zhao Bangde will not let go of this good opportunity to pursue victory. My fellow soldiers, let's work together to completely defeat the Burning Legion and strengthen our power as a human race. Kill! 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 The horn of counterattack sounded, and the human soldiers rushed out of the city and began to chase the defeated undead army. 2 hours later, the defeated undead army was finally killed, leaving only 3 generals who escaped with less than a few hundred undead. So far, the battle has been won. The surrounding altars, large and small, were all destroyed by various forces. If it weren't for the fight for the altar, Arifubal might have been captured alive. Wang Shuo also took advantage of the chaos and destroyed the largest altar and several small and medium altars. Seeing the final victory of the battle, Zhao Ban finally let go of his worries and showed a knowing smile on his face. In fact, he no longer had any trump cards just now. If Arifubal rushed into Shanghai City, he would have no choice but to fight for his life. Simply, the other party escaped, which was the best ending. Killing the opponent's supreme commander is certainly a good thing, but obviously, Shanghai City's army will also suffer heavy losses. The 3 county guards had already agreed that whoever wins first will go to support the other 2 cities. Being able to retain more vitality is of course the best result. At the same time, Wang Shuo stood beside the destroyed altar and looked around, seeing a desolate scene. He couldn't help but want to recite a poem. The soldiers, carrying their spears astride their horses, were not afraid of the blood-stained battlefield. The flames of war raged for 3,000 miles, with bones everywhere and crows flying everywhere. At this moment, the system prompt sounded. The defensive battle of Shanghai City is over. Wang Shuo checked his ranking and ranked second. Quite satisfied. You performed well in this battle, and the Wana Town army made a name for itself. Reward the reputation of Wana Town at 2,000, and reward the Red Flame Army's legion number and flag. Reward a legion order. Wang Shuo got a flag and a legion order in his backpack. When he took it out and saw that it was actually a flag that could increase combat capabilities, the one he made had no attribute bonus. Wang Shuo was overjoyed. Red Flame Army flag. Carrying it in combat can increase the army's attack power by 5%, defense power by 5%, and health by 5%. Wang Shuo was very satisfied that just one military flag could provide such a large increase. In this battle, you fought bravely and commanded well, and you will be rewarded with a command value of add 10. At the same time, all human soldiers, whether generals or lower-level soldiers, received corresponding rewards. Gongzheng, Ayub, and others also had their command points, levels, reputation, etc. improved. Wang Shuo looked at the items that could be exchanged for military merit points. In this battle, Varna Town received a total of 12.3 million military merit points. Among the redeemable items, the first one is a summoning scroll worth 50 million military points. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 333. Giant Dragon Army Summoning Scroll. Wang Shuo was shocked. How powerful would the summoned dragon army be? Could it be that they were all level 100 dragon knights? He couldn't help but imagine. The second one was a defensive item called Four-Sided City. The exchanged military merit points required 30 million. It was obvious that it was a city defense item, probably something similar to the light curtain above Shanghai City. But Wang Shuo still couldn't afford it. Then he browsed down and found that a booklet outline of the Xinwu Empire actually required 10 million military merit points. Wang Shuo was shocked. But it also attracted Wang Shuo's attention. The properties of items that could not be exchanged could not be viewed. After Wang Shuo clicked on the introduction of this booklet, the expression on his face gradually became exciting. After reading it, he checked other items, including some equipment production drawings, some powerful disposable items, and some skills and techniques. Wang Shuo thought about it and exchanged the booklet. The reason was that it said that the empire in the north of the Great Hui Territory was the Xinwu Empire. Just this sentence made Wang Shuo's heart move. After the exchange, just when Wang Shuo wanted to take out the Xinwu Empire outline to take a look, he noticed that the brocade bag given to him by Lord Zak had reacted. Wang Shuo frowned. This was the second brocade bag. After opening it, a piece of animal skin paper inside said, "In 3 months, the Great Wall of Steel will be opened." Wang Shuo was a little confused. The Great Wall of Steel? Wang Shuo had never heard of the Great Wall of Steel, and he was a little puzzled for a while. But it was obvious. This news was extraordinary. It seems that he needs to investigate it carefully. Wang Shuo thought for a while, and then exchanged a few other items that he liked. At this time, Zhao Bang's voice sounded. "Please come to the Lord's mansion for a chat with all the lords and mayors." After Wang Shuo arranged his army, he led a group of lords and mayors from Changping County to the Lord's mansion. Everyone smiled, and it was time to reward them according to their merits. "Everyone, thank you for coming to support Shanghai City. All the energy crystals and soul crystals will be counted later, and then distributed to everyone according to the military merit ranking. As for the materials you have picked up, they will not be counted." Zhao Bang's move immediately won the favor of everyone. Wang Shuo thought about it for a while. Zhao Bang successfully saved Shanghai City, and he was the first on the military merit list. Naturally, there were benefits. Things like these energy crystals are very good, but the benefits he got are definitely not something that can be exchanged for money. Then, Zhao Bang said, "Although we barely managed to hold Shanghai City, the other 2 county cities are still fighting. As fellow tribesmen, we should help each other. If the human race in the Wei territory suffers too much loss, we may have little chance of surviving in the next game. So, we should unite and fight against the undead together until they are completely eliminated." Mr. County Magistrate, well said. As fellow human races, we should be united and fight against the undead. It is a great cause, and I support it. I support it too. Everyone responded immediately. If someone raised an objection at this time, it would definitely be a brain problem. It would inevitably lead to isolation and contempt from others. They would be regarded as scum of the human race. Okay, in that case, let's set off as soon as possible. We will gather and set off in 3 hours. After everyone went down, Wang Shuo found Zhao Bang and asked about the Great Wall of Steel. "Lord Survival, my shelter in Crocodile territory." Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 334. In the back hall, Zhao Bang frowned and said with a serious face, "How do you know the 4 words, the Great Wall of Steel?" Wang Shuo found an excuse, saying that he heard it by chance from the undead warrior. Zhao Bang pondered for a long time, and then slowly said, "The Great Wall of Steel is a section of the Great Wall located in the north of the Wei domain, with a length of more than 500 kilometers. Zhao Bang told Wang Shuo all the information he knew about the Great Wall of Steel. Some time ago, Zhao Bang went to check it out in person. At that time, he was also shocked by the grandeur of the Great Wall, but he didn't know the function of this Great Wall. The towering Great Wall is full of ancient and desolate feelings. Even from a distance, you can feel a sense of killing. The entire Great Wall is shrouded by an invisible barrier and cannot be approached. It seems that outside the Great Wall, there is something extremely cruel to guard against." For a while, both of them fell into deep thought. It seems that the progress of the next stage must be related to this Great Wall. Zhao Bang held his cheek and said solemnly. Wang Shuo also nodded. In any case, to defend such a long section of the wall, a large number of people are needed. It seems that a sufficient population must be retained. To rescue Nangsuan Prefecture and Fenglin County, action must be taken as soon as possible. Then, Wang Shuo asked about the situation of the Xinwu Empire. "I have heard of the Xinwu Empire in my early years. Its territory is extremely vast, with many races, and even allows transformed monsters to serve as city lords. The internal forces are complicated. Then do you know where it is? Zhao Bang laughed, stood up, and said, of course it is outside the domain. We are in the Dewey domain and will not have any intersection with it in a short time. Wang Shuo wanted to blurt out, the Xinwu Empire is to our north. Maybe the Great Wall of Steel is used to guard against the Xinwu Empire. But these are just Wang Shuo's guesses, and he didn't say it in the end. Back to the Xian army tent. Wang Shuo opened the Xinwu Empire overview. It introduces the history, region, and some major forces of the Xinwu Empire in detail. After reading it, Wang Shuo took a breath of cold air. It turned out that the area of the Xinwu Empire was hundreds of millions of square kilometers. The Xinwu Empire nominally ruled this vast territory. Within the empire, countless kingdoms, principalities, federations, and other subordinate countries were divided. These countries are also constantly fighting each other, all wanting to gain more territory. In the southernmost part, that is, north of the Great Wall of Steel, it is ruled by several city lords. These city lords were also born from the new game area of Dewey Domain. The entire border of the Xinwu Empire is this new area. When the time comes, it will be connected to the territory of the entire Xinwu Empire. By then, those old kingdoms, principalities, city lords, and lords will quickly annex the new areas like wolves. The closer to the Xinwu Empire, the higher the level of development, and they will pose a serious threat to the outside world. One layer threatens another layer, and one layer devours another layer. Wang Shuo now has a preliminary understanding of what kind of situation he will face. Presumably, those elites from outside the domain were the city lords on the other side of the Great Wall who stuffed them in. Wang Shuo felt a sense of powerlessness. There was the disaster of the undead nearby, and the threat of the foreign lords in the distance. When will it end? Could it be the day when the Xinwu Empire is overthrown? Wang Shuo then smiled calmly. He really dared to think so.